Soros-funded group sues Trump for cutting aid of another nonprofit bankrolled by the leftist Billionaire. I don't understand why these NGOs, these non-government organizations, so-called non-government, they get our tax dollars. Why do they think they have a right to our tax dollars? they've been sucking on the government teat for so long. They really believe they have a right to our money, which is ridiculous. So we're gonna talk about it. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my X account, so follow me there as well. All right, so let's get into this news. Now, this comes from Judicial Watch. I love Judicial Watch. They do great work. They are not afraid to fill out those FOIA requests and ask for government transparency. I love Judicial Watch and what they do. But they report that highlighting the need to crack down on waste at the nation's famously corrupt global aid agency, a group funded by left-wing billionaire, you know, the boogeyman, George Soros, is suing the Trump administration for freezing the funds of another nonprofit, also bankrolled by Soros, of course, that receives millions of dollars from the United States Agency for International Development, or USAID. With a massive budget around $40 billion with the B, the agency has for years come under fire for the outrageous programs it funds with taxpayer dollars, including, I'm sure y'all heard of most of these, hundreds of millions to promote Soros's radical globalist agenda in Latin America, a failed Clinton-backed port and power plant in Haiti, remember Haiti, a project to help Asians learn enough English to work in offshore call centers and develop a Pakistani version of the iconic educational children's program Sesame Street. You know, we talked about that all before. Other USAID allocations have paid for a condom strategy in Eswatini, however you pronounce it, condoms, bicycles for rural communities in sub-Saharan Africa, and racial equity. Vice President Kamala Harris's failed multi-million-dollar venture to curb, quote, irregular migration was also funded through USAID. Fortunately for American taxpayers, President Trump froze USAID disbursements on day one while his administration identifies problems, and the move has caused outrage among liberals and their allies in the mainstream media. You would think they would want to cut fraud and waste. The only reason you would be against this, y'all know the two reasons I give all the time. One reason, you just so anti-Trump, you want to be against everything he's for. Or two, you are a beneficiary. You're benefiting from this fraud and waste. Now, two leftist entities that despise the president and promote agendas that clearly contradict his policies are suing him. Secretary of State Mark Rubio and others in the administration for finally stopping the highly questionable flow of taxpayer dollars into these coffers. A lawsuit filed this month in the United States District Court for the District of Columbia accuses the president and his administration of, quote, illegally and unconscionably freezing funding and work related to nearly every U.S. foreign assistance mission. Again, who says we have to give our taxpayer dollars to these entities in the first place? They don't have a right to have our taxpayer dollars. By freezing foreign aid, President Trump has exceeded his constitutional authority with his unlawful actions that are harming and will harm countless individuals and entities, the complaint alleges. The lawsuit was filed by a group called Public Citizen that has received $2.46 million from Soros' Open Society Foundation. Y'all know I talk about them all the time. Since 2020, records uncovered by Judicial Watch revealed. The Washington, D.C. based group describes itself as a consumer advocacy organization that champions the public interest in the halls of power. Yeah, right. We know they're pushing their open border society. Everything that's antithetical to the United States is what they're pushing. They said, quote, we defend democracy. Sure you do. resist corporate power. They are corporate power. And fight to ensure that government works for the people. No, they fighting to get that taxpayer dollars and not big corporations, according to the website. This is hilarious. This is hilarious. Public Citizen's lead attorney in the case, Lauren Bateman, claims the, quote, Trump administration freeze on foreign assistance funding is dangerous and illegal. She added that when programs like the ones run by our clients are abruptly shuttered, the impact are felt throughout the world, with the most vulnerable people bearing the deadliest impact. But again, all the stuff we talked about they were funding there, how would that stuff how would that have a deadly impact if we stop those fundings? Sesame Street, by stopping Sesame Street is a deadly impact. Are you serious? Is that your argument? Is that the best you can come up with? One of those plaintiffs is a George Soros project called Journalism Development Network, or JDN, which received $4.4 million from OSF in 2023 alone, according to records uncovered by Judicial Watch. The Maryland-based nonprofit that claims to support a global consortium of journalists have also received over $6.5 million from the State Department and the USAID since 2020. How many of those journalistic entities do you believe are conservative? I would bet dollars to donuts that none of them are real conservative outlets. JDN is the corporate name for the vehemently anti-Trump organized crime and corruption reporting project, and the two operate under the same employee identification number, or EIN, in official Internal Revenue Service records obtained by Judicial Watch. So it's the same entity. A JDN spokesperson called the funding cut an illegal action that deprives small investigative media in low-income countries the funds they desperately need to operate. Again, you do not have a right to our money. The recently filed lawsuit has another plaintiff, a New York-based nonprofit called AIDS Vaccine Advocacy Coalition, that strives for a world without AIDS and with global health equality. USAID has authority under federal law and the terms of foreign aid contracts to stop payments, Deputy Administrator Peter Morocco writes in the court document filed in the case. Of course, the government can stop payments to anything they want. You have no legal right to that. But the agency took action to ensure funds are not being used for fraudulent purposes, and it will continue to examine outgoing payments, Morocco writes. Historically, USAID had limited and insufficient payment control or review mechanisms, the court filing reads. Certifying officers pushed out payments, or grantees directly drew down on letters of credit or other facilities, and the system automatically processed those payments without sufficient opportunity for payments integrity or program review. So basically, he's saying here, they just throwing the money at them and no one is checking to make sure the money is going the way they say it's supposed to be going. Under that legacy system, USAID employees were unable to adequately identify basic information about specific payments, such as the programs with which specific payments were associated. After Trump's order halting foreign aid funding, USAID staff were unable to identify which payments were associated with particular enumerated accounts or programs. Morocco further reveals, quote, these system deficiencies and inability to provide complete information led to serious questions about waste, fraud, abuse, and even illegal payments, the filing states. The lack of sufficiently effective controls of an integrated payment review process has led to significant payment delays in some cases and has placed certain USAID programs at risk of catastrophic failure. We'll see how the courts play this. If for some reason I don't understand. I don't know if a court can actually mandate taxpayer money continue to go to these entities. But I'm interested to see how this turns out. You best believe I'm going to be following it. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.